One of the most anticipated forecasts we issue here on Weather World every year is our winter weather outlook. For that, I'm joined tonight by Jon Nese, and we'll also bring in Pennsylvania State climatologist Kyle Imhoff. Starting with you tonight, Kyle, what does the data tell us about recent meteorological winters in Pennsylvania?
Thanks, Rob. So we'll look at a time series chart from 1990 through last year. And you can see that last year kind of stands out as a very mild winter overall. We were 5 degrees Fahrenheit above average, and that was the warmest winter we'd seen in almost 20 years. Go back to 2001, 2002, actually a little over 20 years, where we've been that warm relative to average. If we compare that to precipitation, you can see again last year, well above average in terms of precipitation. In the last decade, we've actually been generally above normal. You have to go back to 2014, 2015, where we were below normal, significantly below normal for precipitation. Now, looking just at last year's snowfall, departure from normal snowfall here, you can see for northern and western Pennsylvania, significantly below normal snowfall. So our lake effect machine really didn't work that well last year. But east central Pennsylvania, some of the higher terrain was a little closer to our 91 to 2020 normals there. But you can see across the state, generally a lack of snowfall. And then when we look at normal snowfall for our meteorological winter season, across northern and western Pennsylvania, so the higher northern Pennsylvania near the Lake Erie, and the higher terrain, the lower highlands, close to 100 inches of snow or just a little bit over, and then closer to 20 to 40 inches of snow as you go into the lower elevations of southern and eastern Pennsylvania. Rob?
Thanks, Kyle. It's always good to see where we've been and get a perspective on what is average for winter in Pennsylvania. For this specific winter, we're looking at a couple of different factors. Let's talk oceans and analogs. Jon?
Thanks, Rob. Any winter outlook has to start by asking the question, will El Nino or La Nina be factors this winter? Last winter, El Nino was a big factor. This winter, things are trending towards La Nina. Now, the signature of a La Nina would be cooler than average water right along the central and eastern tropical Pacific. We see a little bit of that, but not much. And in fact, the forecast suggests that if a La Nina were to develop, it would be rather weak. And I think that kind of opens the door for other unusual weather patterns to factor in. And one you can really see in the Pacific Ocean is this large patch of warmer than average water in the North Pacific, very anomalous. This is associated with a weather pattern called the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, or PDO. And in this configuration, this has major impacts on the two primary jet streams on the planet. The main branch of the jet stream, we think, will be a little bit farther north than average this winter and also faster than average. And this has a couple impacts. First of all, it will deliver a lot of Pacific air into the continent, which in winter means warmer than average. And the fast flow means progressive systems. They'll move quickly. There could be a lot of Alberta clippers, which tend to bring more precipitation to western Pennsylvania than eastern Pennsylvania. In addition, the subtropical branch of the jet stream, which often delivers those southern storms that turn into nor'easters, will be slower than average. And so we think there will be a tendency this winter for fewer coastal storms. Previous winters that had that kind of pattern, the central and eastern United States, warmer than average by several degrees. As far as the impact on precipitation, not a strong signal, but if there is a signal, it's wetter than average in the Ohio Valley, which could leak into western Pennsylvania. So we think that the Pacific Decadal Oscillation will be important this winter. Rob?
And thanks very much, Jon, for that analog insight. What do some of the other forecast tools at our disposal have to say about this upcoming winter season? For that, we'll turn to Ensemble Forecast. In much the same way that we show you some of these products for our Week 2 trends and Climate Watch outlooks, here's a blend of a bunch of different model solutions put together. Tonight, we're going to show you actually over 130 different model opinions, the first of which is the ECMWF UK Met Super Blend. So this is 50 different models, and their average solution leans mild across much of North America. In fact, for Pennsylvania, 2 to 4 degrees above average for December through February. A different outlook, the North American Multi-Model Ensemble has 71 different members, equally weighted. Also features mildness across much of the lower 48, and in Pennsylvania, maybe 4 degrees above average for the upcoming winter season. In terms of precipitation, the Super Blend does feature dryness across the Deep South with a lean towards positive precipitation anomalies in the Ohio River Valley, possibly spilling into western Pennsylvania, but a lean towards dryness in some of the drought-stricken areas of eastern Pennsylvania with perhaps the lag of coastal storms. Some other different opinions, the NMME precipitation anomaly, much the same. Still dryness across the deep south, a lean towards wet in the Ohio River Valley, and also perhaps a bit into western Pennsylvania. With that, here's our winter 2024-2025 outlook. We'll call it Snow Lover's Lament. For temperature, we say 2 to 4 degrees above average statewide, with the best chance at cold snaps occurring first in early December and then again in January. We do think it'll be chillier this December than last year. Of course, last year it was over 6 degrees above average in Pennsylvania. For precipitation, we'll say about average statewide, with a lean towards wetter in the west, drier in the east, with likely some remaining drought conditions there. For snowfall, not great for snow lovers, below average statewide. We see impacts from precipitation type challenges, so even when the lake effect snow machine kicks in, it may be too warm for that precipitation to fall as snow. Also, limited coastal storms hindering snowfall accumulation in the east. It's worth noting that once again, advances have been made in seasonal forecasting, but there's still plenty of uncertainty with these kinds of outlooks. We'll say that our confidence level this year is above average simply because of the remarkable agreement between analogs and Ensemble Forecast models. And that is our official Weather World Winter Outlook. I want to thank Jon Nese and Pennsylvania State climatologist Imhoff for joining me tonight. And we'll be back in just a moment with more.